Hey everyone, thank you very much for tuning into the iConis podcast. I'm one of your hosts here, Barry 3D, and today we are going to get into the Fantastic Four. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the show be a secret. And we're going to talk about the trailer that just came out recently of the Fantastic Four. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to see this. I haven't been this excited to see a Marvel movie in a while. I've always enjoyed them. I like the DC movies, but then you have your hits and misses and ones you really kind of connect with. And this is one that we've been waiting for a while. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of speculation. It's now, the first trailer has come out. I'm sure there's more to follow. And I'm just going to go over a couple of points of what I like about this trailer and what I hope to see when this movie comes out, and hopefully more. So first and foremost, we all know the Fantastic Four. They got together. We had the main characters, Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, Invisible Woman, and the Human Torch. We know their origin story. They go up in a rocket ship, cosmic rays, boom, crash to Earth. They get their powers, and it goes on that way. We pretty much have a good understanding. So the Fantastic Four, will be their third official movie, but there's 4 Fantastic Four movies, and of course, one's a bootleg that's just roaming around the internet that they put out there to hold on to the property of the Fantastic Four name way back in the day. Now, then, of course, they came up with the other one, the first one, and with Jessica Alba and the rest of the team. And that was more of a lighthearted one. That was Fox Studios having it. And you could start it off, was like really on board with all the casting, maybe not 100%, but still enjoyed it. Was really excited that they brought in the second one, the Silver Surfer, Rise of the Silver Surfer, which would have led to Galactus. And then they made Galactus a gaseous cloud. Next, we're moving on. Okay. And then they made more of a darker thing, like almost like the Ultimates, Fantastic Four Ultimate or Ultimate Fantastic Four, the one that had Michael B. Jordan on it, right? And that had that team a little bit more of a darker feel. Still kind of miss the feel of the Fantastic Four. Now, finally, we get this one with Pedro Pascal, Jessica Kirby, and the rest goes on. One, could I picture them all originally when I saw this as them being the Fantastic Four? I was open-minded to see how it would turn out, and I like what I see. So the costumes are really nice, the blue and white costumes. It's a little bit take of what they would do, but it fits them. It fits what they're going to do. It fits each and every character. I know we're not going to get into an origin, so hopefully they're just going to do those origins as small little tidbits or flashbacks through the movie. Don't need a full origin movie. Everyone has a general idea what it is. We already know this movie's taking place in a different universe. When Reed is writing on his chalkboard, we see, enter, exit, and he mentions on the chalkboard, different universes. There's probably more information there. So many Easter eggs, and I'm not trying to break them all down, but I'm just putting this out here for where I think this can go. So let's look back at some of this thing here. So I have some of my notes. So, they gave a retro futuristic look inspired by Sid Med for the Fantastic Four. This is why we have that aesthetic, that 1960s, what they thought the future would look like, right? So if you look at the Expo, in the 60s, if you look at the Jetsons cartoon, for example, if you look at how cars were back then, their concept cars, the house of the future, all that stuff, the furniture, the style, everything has that old school 60s feel, which I like. This keeps in line of almost when the Fantastic Four first came out. So we have that fashion, the clothing fashion, the aesthetics, everything. But there's a little bit more. Now, it's influenced by Reed. Reed is a genius, and a lot of the Fantastic Four's funding and money comes from Reed's patents. That's how they keep funded with everything. Reed turns around, he invents something, he makes a patent on it, he puts it out there, and that's how they generate their income for Reed to sustain his family and future endeavors. We see the Baxter Building. And the Baxter Building looks a lot like Avengers Tower, and that's cool. I talked about this before, but now knowing this is a different universe, we see that same land site used for something else. Buildings very similar, but then of course different at the same time. And we know the Baxter Building in the comic books, the top floors were for Fantastic Four, and then everything else below to ground level were condos. I don't know if those people had good insurance or not, because you're living with superheroes on the top of you. You might think that's a good thing, but then that means all the super villains know where you live, and how does the insurance cover that when Dr. Doom takes that building into outer space? Okay. So going through, some of the other things, right? I mentioned the Baxter Building, and of course we see Herbie the robot. So Herbie the Robot showed up in one of the older Fantastic Four cartoons. So we had the original one that was done in the 60s that had all the team members. But then when it came back, I believe in the 80s, they weren't allowed to show the Human Torch because they didn't want kids to get the idea to go outside, light themselves on fire, yellow flame on, because they didn't think we would be that smart to have common sense. Okay, so at that one, they replaced Human Torch with Herbie the Robot. This is where Herbie comes into the cartoon. Now, Herbie was built, and his whole name is an acronym, right, for Herbie. So it stands for Highly Engineered Robot Built for Interdimensional Exploration. This is where Herbie came in. Herbie was built by the Xandarians. Why is this important? Because the planet Xandar, well, in the MCU was a planet. In comic books, the planet was already destroyed and they were in 5 different spheres going around the universe. And if you think Xandor, you think of Nova, the human rocket, Richard Rider. That's where his power comes from, the Nova Corps. So this is one, could be a gateway for that. That is amazing. And they made Herbie the Robot to go and explore space looking for Galactus. Okay, there we go. But then, so this is why it's so exciting. Now, another thing that we noticed is because of that, they use a lot of places. You see Yancey Street's going to make its appearance in there. I like how the Thing looks. And we know the Thing is based off of, for your information, Jack the King Kirby. Jack Kirby, when he was co-creating the Fantastic Four, he said a lot of him is in Ben Grimm. From being Jewish, his faith, his attitude, smoking cigars, being part of a street gang, the rough and tough, gruff kind of person, that Jack Kirby really took his personality and put it into Ben Grimm, and that's where it is. So this is a great thing. If you didn't know, that will always be the ongoing shout out to that. Now, of course, when they make their appearance in their blue and white costumes, they're standing on a stage, on TV, and that exact stage was the same setup as the Beatles making their first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show way back in the day. This is amazing. Of course, we get a version of the Fantastic car that's in there too that we see. So it's not a flying car, it's driving around, but the way the car looks, it looks like it has fins, so it could fly. It could fly. It might go on water. We don't know. We'll see more when it comes about. So we can see that the Fantastic Four are beloved by the people in New York. We can see that they look at them a certain way. We can see the government sees them in a way. All positive for different reasons. And what I liked right away from the trailer is that Sue Storm, the invisible girl, visible woman, stands out. And it's about time. And let me tell you why. So she goes through in the trailer saying, well, Johnny is Johnny. You're Mr. Fantastic. You're my husband. You're a father. You're this. You're Mr. Fantastic. Ben Grimm is the Rock. Not so much talking about what they got turned into, but because she recognizes who each one is. Ben is the rock of the team. Johnny is just a flamboyant hothead. Mr. Fantastic is always thinking. But Sue Storm is the glue that holds that whole family together. And they're known as Marvel's first family. In their first couple of issues, they didn't even wear costumes. They just wore street clothes. And I think it was issue 3 that they turned around and got their costumes after, and they put on the Fantastic Four logo, which was smart writing to make them more tangible to the readers. This is a lot of amazing stuff here. And of course, they mentioned the Future Foundation. That's something that came up later on in Fantastic Four issue number 579 back in 2010. So they're taking great pieces from all over, from the run of Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, a little bit of, John Bryan. And there's a lot of stuff I hope to see. So, and here's what I hope to see, right? I know I keep saying that. So one of the things I would love to see, clearly, we know they're in a different dimension. There is a lot of people that made their first appearances in the Fantastic Four. So, for example, as I said before, Rich Rider, Nova could be inadvertently brought in through this way. Just a glimpse or a mention of him in that dimension, because it could be like a soft reboot, because now we can kind of get back on track with true Marvel stories. For example, The Inhumans. I know we had that movie, and then it had that one season of them that was done, and it had good casting, but the stories could have been better. And the Inhumans made their first appearance in Fantastic Four issue number 45. That's to show you how far back they've been around. So if the Fantastic Four are here, are the Inhumans too far behind? Think about it. Okay, that's one. Now Galactus. So the Inhumans showed up, and then Galactus makes his first appearance in Fantastic Four issues number 48 and 49 back in 1966. We know Galactus the big bad. We know that the Silver Surfer is coming into this movie right away. Okay, I'm excited. So if Galactus is there, the Xanadarians, Herbie could be there. So Herbie it's definitely made on Earth. Does the Xanadarians make an appearance? Will the Skrulls make it, will the Skrulls make an appearance? Is this before or after that, Galactus might have eaten their homeworld? I mean, I know in the comic book it's way after, but we don't know where they're going with storyline with this. So we have Galactus, we have the Inhumans, and here's another important fact. Back, once again, in that year, good old July of 1966, issue number 52 of the Fantastic Four brought in the first appearance of Black Panther. See, I gotta go into the archives and read all of this stuff because this is where it's all hiding out. Now, why is all these kind of points important? Okay, so let's look at it. We got Galactus, we got Silver Surfer. Okay, now, they're known as Marvel's first family. Can they help do a reboot on certain things? We know that they're looking to recast T'Challa in Black Panther. If the Fantastic Four movie is already coming out, and they they will have other ones coming out after this. Will we get a version of T'Challa in their universe who might come over Black Panther for some reason? Once again, he's a gateway. The Fantastic Four is a gateway for this. So they can bring in T'Challa. They can bring in Namor, the Submariner. Once again, he was discovered when the Human Torch said, screw the team, I'm out, I'm going solo, and he had his own solo issue run. And he came across Namor, who had amnesia. He recognized them from the files. Shaved off. He had a full beard living as a homeless person. He shaved off his beard using his flames, threw him in the water. He got his memory back. Of course, water and fire fighting. Okay, so the Fantastic Four bring in this person. They bring in Namor. They bring in, as I said, Black Panther, the Inhumans. There's a lot of people that showed up. They could be the gateway to kind of, as I said, soft reboot the Marvel Universe. I know we've gone away from a lot of the stories, but this, I think, would be a nice jumping on point. Now, during the trailer, it also seems that Sue could be pregnant at one point. And we know if she gets pregnant, that brings in Franklin. And Franklin is what? He's a mutant. Wow. Which would tie into the X-Men because Franklin, when he gets older in the future, he does marry Rachel Summers. He joins that bloodline, right? Days of Future Past. Here we go. The Fantastic Four are great for a lot of this. Now let's look at who could be coming up. Now I know there's speculation that John Malkovich could be playing the Red Ghost. Okay, that's cool. And we can see how that character goes in because it brings in now the Russian space race and more of them. And maybe we get some of those Russian super soldiers, the Soviet super soldiers in there that had that one issue comic book. What I hope to see is I do hope Sue has the pregnancy. I do hope the Inhumans come in at some point. I really would love to see Mole Man make his appearance. I would like to even see them take on Psycho Man, because if Psycho Man shows up, that means Marvel has done what I needed them to do. And that was for them to get the rights to finally call it not the Quantum Verse, but the Microverse, and have the gateway to the Micronauts, because Psycho Man is there. Get into the negative zone. And there's a whole lot of people that deal with the negative zone. Mole Man. The list goes on of what I want to see, but one person I would definitely want to see make an appearance is I want to see the Fearmonger come out with Psycho Man, and I want to see the appearance of Malice. I want to see the Invisible Woman that John Bryan run turn into Malice and take on the Fantastic Four, and that brings in a lot of creative and writing open right there. So the Fantastic Four as the first family is ready to go. They could be space explorers, and I wanted to see them do that. I want to see them find Atlantis. I want to see them hit the blue area of the moon. I want to see them deal with the Skrulls the very first time and document all that. Now, knowing this is taking place in the 60s, will they always stay there? Will they come into the universe, the MCU that we know, which is more present day, And will they still be in that older aesthetic? How is that all going to play out? We don't know. But we know there's a Council of Reeds. We know there's all dealing with the Kang dynasty. And the list goes on. There's so much history to cover. These are points that I think would be great storytelling, and we can just see where it's going. So I know when I'm excited for the movie. I'm excited to see potential storylines. I'm excited for the merch. I'm not even going to lie. I'm a mark for the merch. I've seen some stuff, the rocket ship, the patches. I want to see how that plays out. And I'm curious, if they're in the 60s, what's the music soundtrack going to be like? Because we get that the Guardians of the Galaxy, we know their soundtrack was really cool. So I want to see what 60 songs they will pull out to keep everything in line and really break down the characters. Like Mr. Fantastic, I know they didn't show him using his stretchy powers in the trailer, but let's be real. In Mr. Fantastic's mind, his power is his mind, not the power to stretch. That is secondary. He doesn't count on that. I want to see all these things play out and how the Fantastic Four fit into that. And they can definitely be the gateway we needed to the Marvel Universe. Instead of starting, and it's a good thing they waited. Instead of starting with them at the beginning, let's bring them at the end and springboard off of them. All right, that's my 2 cents on this. This has been Barry 3D, the iConis podcast. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the show be a secret. And always remember, this whole world started with a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Excelsior!